Okay, everybody, good morning. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'd like to welcome you to today's SCORE workshop, How to Achieve Independence Through Franchising, sponsored by FranNet. My name is Jerry Smith. I'm a SCORE mentor and the workshop team leader for the Piedmont chapter. I'll be monitoring the chat and the Q&A windows throughout the webinar. If you guys have any questions, please go ahead and ask, and we'll do our best to get to them and get them all answered. For those that may not be familiar with SCORE, we're a nonprofit organization, a resource partner of the SBA. We're 100% volunteer-based. SCORE basically has two main areas of focus. The first is one-on-one mentoring, which is provided by experienced business owners and executives. And we also have educational workshops, such as what we're viewing today. The bottom line message is that SCORE is here to help local small business in any way that we can. And if you'd like more info, you're interested in signing up for one-on-one mentoring, please check out our website at piedmont.score.org. And you can also see other workshops that we have available there as well under the Take a Workshop link. I'd like to introduce our presenter, Cathey Petkash from FranNet. Cathey is a franchise specialist in South Carolina and has been helping individuals obtain their business ownership dream for over 10 years. By following FranNet's proven research process, you'll safely and efficiently find the right business specifically for you. I'm really looking forward to hearing her insights on franchise ownership. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Cathey.
Thanks, Jerry. I appreciate your time and your invitation to host the meeting today. And hello to all of you who are thinking about perhaps starting your own business. So what we want to talk about is how to achieve your independence through franchising. And we named it this because that is one of the key reasons that I hear from people when I say, why do you want to do this? They say, I want some independence with my life, with my career, with my family. So that's what we've entitled it, and hopefully we can show you how you can achieve that goal. So I would suspect if I would ask you who are attending, or most anyone, what do you think of when you think of franchising? I bet most of you are going to say, if I can get my, there we go. You would say McDonald's. Yes, McDonald's is a great business to use as a franchise model because it was one of the first, and things have changed since the 1950s, but everyone thinks of McDonald's. What I like to do is make sure you're aware that it's not just food that we can invest in when we invest in a franchise. So who am I? Well, I'm Cathey Petkash, a franchise specialist, which sounds pretty official, but I've kind of put a few little pictures around my bio there so you get to know me. And when I work with my clients, I want to get to know you. I want to know what your interest is, what your background is, the why you're considering going into this. So I have an accounting degree and my MBA in business. I had a corporate career for about 17 years with Hewlett Packard. And then I took an early retirement, played around for about 6 months and decided I was a little bored. So I bought a business, a flower shop of all things, down in St. Simons Island, Georgia. Now, my friends, my financial advisors all thought I was a little bit crazy when I bought the flower shop because I am not a creative person. You can see from my professional background, accounting, how boring. Hewlett Packard, I did a lot of project management there, that creativity and flowers and Cathey didn't all fit together. So what I put this up here so that you can really understand that when you decide to go in a business, you might think, well, I don't have the skills for that. But what we're looking for are the skills that you have acquired over your past careers that you can run a business successfully. And I'll go into that and skills in much more detail a little bit later. So at the same time I had on my flower shop, I was also working with FranNet. I started working with them in 2005, so you can see how long I've been doing this. And I ran the business as a flower shop as a semi-absentee owner, where I could continue with a current position and then run a business on the side. That is possible with some businesses. And I've seen over the last year, I'd say about 50% of my clients have gone that route. They're very insecure, scared about the economy and what's going to happen. So they wanted something to buffer and help get them through this pandemic and make some additional income. So I love what I do as a FranNet consultant. And I would love to work with you if you feel this might be the right direction for you. Also, I do have down here in the corner my baby, my four-legged baby, my standard poodle. I think it's important for us to understand our personalities and what we like and how we like to spend our extra time. Because I tell people, if you have a hobby, that's great, but maybe that isn't the business you want to go into. Hopefully you'll have the time and money by running your own business that you can enjoy your spoiled pet, or you can enjoy the golf courses during the week. So keep that in mind when you think about starting a business. FranNet is an international franchise consulting firm. We're throughout North America, and this, I believe, is our 35th, 36th year. It's kind of a hidden secret, a well-kept secret, but we are across the US and Canada. We have national partnerships with SCORE and the SBDC. And what I mean by that is when folks come to Jerry and want to start a business and they're not sure in what direction to go, he might suggest, have you considered franchise ownership? And if that might be of interest to them, he'll hook them up with me and we will go over what franchising is all about and help them, I hope, make the decision, is this a path to explore? What we do is actually, we're matchmakers. And I don't mean in love, I mean in business. By understanding you, your goals, your objectives, your interests, your skills, I am able to make recommendations to you for businesses that will, quote, match your goals and your background. As SCORE and the SBDC, who help small business owners, our services are free. So I can work with you with no financial obligation so you can start to explore business ownership through franchising. So what do we want to talk about? Well, first of all, the why. And I believe Jerry sent out to you 2 handouts for today's presentation. And one of them is entitled Critical Questions. And if you're thinking about starting a business, any business, a franchise, buying one that's existing or starting one on your own, ask yourself those critical questions on that page to really get yourself thinking about, why am I doing this? And is this the right path? And is now the time? So we're going to talk about the why. We're going to talk about the risk and rewards of business ownership. And notice I'm saying business ownership. We're going to talk about franchising, but I am going to compare it with the other ways to start a business too. We want you to go down the path that is best for you. So we'll talk about starting a business from scratch, buying an existing business, and franchise ownership. If you decide to go down the franchise route, doing your exploration and your research, you're going to have a lot of people telling you their opinions of franchising. That's okay, listen to them, but get the facts. There's a lot of myths. There's a lot of preconceptions. There's a lot of assumptions out there about franchising, but you're going to become the specialist. So be sure you understand what is myth and what's a reality. And then how to identify the best business option for you. We'll talk about that and how I lead individuals in defining and building your business, your personal business model for your success. So I don't know if this window is over my slides or not. Is that okay? Can you see this slide, Jerry? Okay.
Yeah, Cathey, everything looks good.
Okay, thank you. So why own a franchise? Well, it's a great fit for you if it will meet your lifestyle and your financial goals. And I really emphasize lifestyle. You've been working, you haven't had a lot of independence, perhaps. You've missed those children's soccer games, those piano recitals, maybe even family reunions because of your work schedule, your travel. So I say if you want to start a business, really research how you can find a business and start a business that will modify and give you more independence in your lifestyle. And obviously will set your financial goals too. You need to be able to reduce your risk. Some people are more tolerant of risk. Some people are more fearful of starting a business. So everyone will be different. You identify what your risk level is And then we will work together to make sure we find a business that will address that risk concerns and reduce that risk. When you own a business, you're looking for income security versus job security. So just keep that in mind, and you think about, why do you want to start a business? What is it going to give you? As I said, independence is one of the top things that I hear when I'm working with my clients. The other one, obviously, is financial security and flexibility, just for the reasons I mentioned earlier. Find a business that will fit into your lifestyle so you can be happy and your family can be happy, and you can achieve your independence through franchise ownership. So if this is true, if you can achieve these major goals, why wouldn't you go forward? Most people will continue to choose to work for someone else. So the question is, why? Well, because of perceived risks. And again, you need to get the truth, the facts. Risk. A job is safer than a business. I'll wait for the economy when it's better. Well, look what's happened over the past year. Now, I will say that given this pandemic, it's just been totally aliens, totally new for us. We've had to adjust our lifestyles, our work styles, our family styles, our financial plans. A lot of people have lost their jobs, and yes, a lot of business have gone out of business. So risk is big, but there are some businesses that we're going to talk about that we have found over the last year that have sustained and even grown during the pandemic. And you probably have heard people using the term essential services, and that is really what's been happening is people are buying businesses that are considered essential services. Money. Well, it costs a lot of money to start a business. I can't afford it. Good point. What I will ask you is, what is your risk factor? What is your fear? What is your ceiling that you want to invest into a business? And that's what we'll focus on. You may be surprised to learn that you can get into a business for under $100,000. I'd say between 50 and 100. And actually thinking back over the last year, most of my clients that I have worked with have been in this category, around real close or less than $100,000. So you might say, well, I have no way, I have no idea what I want to do or how to go about doing it. Well, that's where I can help. And that's what I love doing. When people say, I don't know what I want to do, I just know I don't want any more corporate work. I don't want to be laid off again. I want control and independence. Well, I love working with you and helping you determine if we can do that in business ownership. And then the other fear or the risk is not having the talents and the skills to run your own business. Think about that, save that thought, because we're going to cover that in detail. Okay, so in the past, we have used the term, look for a business that is recession resistant. Not recession proof, because those don't really exist, but recession resistant. Well, a new term that we have picked up this year are businesses that are essential services. And this is where most of my clients over the past year have made their investment and are excited and are doing well. So many businesses will thrive no matter what's going on in the economy. Yes, really. Now, the restaurants have been hit hard. That's why I said it's not all about food. And actually, over the last 15 years, I thought about this, make sure I can make this statement. Not one of my clients has invested in a food service. So which ones are more essential and have a better chance in all economic conditions? Well, first one I'd like to talk about are markets that are driven by the demographics. Specifically, I'd like to talk about senior care. As we all know, we're all living longer. My mother just turned 90, and I'm very happy she's doing really well, but she just needs some assistance in her home. She still lives alone. So the senior care, the in-home services to help as a companion, as a housekeeper, as a medical assistant in the home, that's a very positive, a very good business to get into based on demographics. Another one are the essential services. If you think about cars, the one I really like in this area is damage restoration. When our hurricanes come through, if our houses aren't blown down, if they're just flooded, whatever, or if there's a fire, you have to get that fixed. I consider damage restoration definitely an essential service and a need-based service. What do? You call your insurance company and you tell them you have some damage. The insurance company calls the damage restoration companies to come in and fix it. You've been paying your insurance premium, so therefore the insurance company pays directly to the damage restoration. So your client base is really insurance companies. You have a very specific market to market to, building relationships with those companies so they will refer your business. Another type of business that have done well is the business coaching. Any businesses that will help other businesses be successful. Business coaching, IT, marketing, staffing. Those are ones, and again, I've seen this over the last year, businesses have had to learn how to market their business differently. A lot of it's gone more to digital, virtual. So how do you set up the processes and how do you make that happen? So the B2B services is a very exciting business industry that perhaps you haven't thought about. So when you talk about businesses to consider and how they have sustained during the last year, cars always need maintenance. Think of Meineke. Homeowners still have to get home repairs. Mr. Handyman. These are all specific franchises you probably have heard of. Senior citizens. Always Best Care is one that is helping my mother at this present time. And mosquitoes, they aren't going away. Mosquito Squad. And I should have put up here FlyFo, which is the new mosquito spraying business that the gentleman in Spartanburg has just started. He worked with SCORE and I last fall. And children. Children, we have found it's been a real challenge in their lessons and in their classes the last year, not only for the parents trying to tutor them. So we have seen a great increase in interest and a need for tutors. The two businesses here are industries, seniors and children are two industries, and I'll add another one, believe it or not, is the pet industry. Those three industries we have found really have been, quote, recession resistant. They have been considered an essential services. You're always going to spend money on your children, whether it's for education or entertainment or physical fitness. The seniors, the demographics, everyone is growing older and they're living longer. So this is a very key area. And the other one is pets. Yes, I've had to have my pet continue to be groomed over the last year, every 5 or 6 weeks. Matter of fact, I would show her today, but she's really dirty. We went to the beach yesterday. So those three industries are ones that I really favor because I do think they're less risky. So when you're
Cathey, can I ask a question on that last slide?
Yes,
and you may go
sure.
into it. You may go into it, but as you've outlined them here. So if you looked at cars and home repairs, children, if the entrepreneur is looking and saying, "Well, I don't really have a mechanical background, so maybe cars and home repairs aren't something I can do, or children, I don't really have a teaching background." Is that necessarily true? Meaning that does the entrepreneur need those skills, or what are your thoughts there?
Excellent question. And that talks about skills. I'm going to show you a slide in a little bit of some of my past clients and what they did before and what business they bought. But I like to use the phrase, when you start a business, you should be working on the business, not in the business. When I had the flower shop, as I said, I was not a creative, flowery type of person. I like flowers, but that was about it. But to make arrangements, By the time I sold that business 5 years later, I had advanced to plucking the rose heads off the stems and scattering them down the aisle for the bride. I was working on the business. I had the operations, I had the financial, I had to hire and fire people. I had to do marketing. I had to manage the inventory. I had to set the prices. If I'm doing all that, I don't have time to make the flower arrangements. The same thing on the cars and the mechanics. You're going to be running that business. You're not going to be fixing the cars. And I have disappointed some people when I've said that to them, because most people, when they start a business, they just don't really understand what it's going to take for that business to, to be successful, and what they're going to have to do on a day-to-day basis. When you start researching franchises, you're going to learn what you have to do on a day-to-day business. And it's not doing the home repairs, it's hiring your contractors or employees to do that. Does that help?
Yeah, that's really helpful, and I'm sure you'll also go into it. So I don't want to ask too many questions, but the
Okay.
the blueprint that's provided and what the franchisor is giving you is that, all the things you just mentioned, how to go about doing that. So
Exactly.
no, that definitely was helpful. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And thanks for pointing it out. So another way to reduce your risk when you invest in a franchise is the government does require every franchisor to document in a franchise disclosure document, which is you'll get to know as the FDD. It's really for your protection. They have to document everything about their history, their experience, the management's experience. If there's ever been any litigation with that company, it has to be in this disclosure document. It has to disclose to potential investors what it's going to cost you. What are the royalties that you will pay on an ongoing basis? It will define your territory. You will have a protected territory, which means that they will not allow another franchise of theirs to come into your territory. What I really like is within the FDD, they have to list every current and past owner of this franchise. And during your research process, what we will be doing is contacting some of those and letting you speak to them to say, what do you really do every day? Another thing is the earnings statements and the financial statements that are in the FDD. You're able to see the financial history of this firm to make sure that this is a sound financial company before you ever do anything, spend any money. All your research is not going to cost you anything until you've made your decision and you pay the franchise fee. So this really helps reduce your risk in starting a business. So let's talk about different ways to start a business. You can start one from scratch. And as like I said, people who has a passion think, oh my gosh, I want to start a restaurant because I love making tacos. Well, okay, but if you're going to have a taco restaurant or have a Mexican restaurant, you're not going to be in the kitchen cooking, as we just pointed out, Jerry, on your question. You've got to be hiring and firing. You've got to be cleaning that establishment. You've got to be doing the marketing. You have to be doing the inventory control. You have to be supervising all your employees. Excuse me, please. You're not going to have time to actually cook, not up front. You can start a business from scratch, or you can buy an existing business like I did with the flower shop, or you can buy a franchise. So let's talk about how to start a business from scratch, the pros and cons of that. Well, talk about control, and some people want control and independence. You have total control. This is your baby. You make all the decisions. There's a lot of room for creativity. You can open a restaurant and cook whatever you want. If you open a McDonald's, you're only going to sell their Big Macs and other items on their menu. There's no rules. All the money, all the profits come to you. As opposed to a franchise, you're going to pay the franchisor a royalty for that continued support and R&D. You can build a business out of your passion. Now, some of the disadvantages is you have to create all the systems. And I say this because that might not make sense right now, but if you think about when you have a business, the marketing systems, the payroll systems, the accounting systems, the CRM systems, all this you have to create or buy separately to run your business. When you start to finance your business, you're going to find it more difficult than the other two approaches, because a lender is going to want a track record. You'd better have an excellent business plan, which Jerry and the SCORE organization can help you with, and you better have some really good financial and projections. Very, very key. So where it isn't impossible to get financial assistance, it is very difficult. It's a slower ramp up because you are having to create all these systems. You don't have anyone holding your hand and giving you a checklist and telling you what to do and where to do it and how to go about it. And you will find of the 3 ways to start a business, this has the highest failure rate. Now you can buy an existing business like I did. It was great. I knew all about the business. It had goodwill down on St. Simon's. Everyone loved the business. I could look at their financials and see the cash flow. I could go to a lender, and because I had the financial statements of this company, they were more prone to help me with the money I needed to continue my investment. I had employees, established customer base, all the systems were there. And you will find when you buy an established business that lots of times the owners will actually finance that for you, so you don't have to go to the bank. But what's the disadvantages of buying an existing business? Like I said, all my friends and financial advisors thought I was really crazy when I bought a flower shop. However, I did feel that my communication, my business skills, my accounting degree was going to help me. One thing that was very important is disadvantage is employee defection. My head designer was a genius. If he would have left me, I couldn't have succeeded. I really couldn't have, because I had no experience and didn't know how to go about doing this. So I was in a learning curve myself, although it was an existing business. Some people say, well, why is the seller really selling this business? What do they know that I don't know? When I got ready to sell my business, that was just about the first question that popped out of prospective buyers. Really, I was just ready to move on, and there was no hidden motive. You might find that the business is overpriced. You might find that goodwill is actually bad will. So financially, and getting funding is probably easier, but the systems and the employees that are in place, you might want to make changes. And most people do when they buy a business, and I did. So let's talk about buying a franchise. Well, the biggest thing people think of is the McDonald's of the world, the name brand recognition, the trademark. So you're already known. You don't have to establish a new customer base. There's proven business systems out there. They are going to train you, they meaning the franchisor, about the industry, and they are going to also lots of times train your employees. They will train you on the industry, and they will train you on that specific franchise that you're buying. Of the 3 ways to start a business, this has the lowest failure rate because you are buying into a business that there is a documented plan, a cookbook, if you will, and processes in place that if you follow them, your chance for success is much greater than starting something from scratch. You'll find that your financing options are more open, basically because there's a track record. The name brand, the name of the franchise will carry more weight than Cathey's flower shop, and no one knows anything about me. As I said earlier, the disclosure, the FDD, is an excellent document for you to gain all the knowledge about that business before you invest. You'll also find that franchisees, owners of this license, are kind of a family. They want you to be successful because with your success and every new franchisee, that is building the name recognition. And they want you to be successful, so it will help their success also. Lots of times you will find 1 or 2 other franchisees within your business that you really get along with, and you might set up monthly calls with them just to go over different areas of or questions that you might have. Did someone have a question, Jerry? Thought I saw a hand that went up.
Yeah,
Yep.
let's see what we got here. Hold on, I got Stanley has his hand up. And Stanley, if you could type that into the chat window. If hold on, I'll check the Q&A, see if you got it. Nope. Just go ahead and type that in if you have it, Stanley, and I'll get to Cathey and I'll forward that over. But yeah, not yet, Cathey. So why don't you just go ahead and continue? Once I see it, I'll let you know.
All right, thank you. So another disadvantage is you can only sell their products. You can't sell Aunt Mary's favorite apple pie recipe in McDonald's. A lot of people consider the ongoing royalty payments as a negative, a disadvantage. Keep in mind that ongoing royalty payment is for your support for the R&D. And we really saw this last spring when companies were having to change their presentations. There are physical fitness coaches out there, and they were going to people's homes. Well, that particular franchise then set up virtual classes. We saw that in the educational and the tutoring, where lots of times it was one-on-one in the past. The franchisor changed their processes, changed their marketing approach so that the franchisees could then do that virtually. So that's what our royalty payments coming in for. So a franchise is a business that is already established with a trademark, and you buy into that business. You buy a license to use their trademarks, to sell their products and services, and the biggie is to use their existing systems. Now, yes, when you buy the license, you pay them an initial franchise fee. I see that on average running from $30,000 to $50,000. That's the money you're going to need up front when you buy this business. And as I said before, you do pay the ongoing royalties for that support and continued R&D. Now let's talk about some of these myths. Let's get the reality behind this. Well, I think I may have already killed this one, but franchising is not just fast food. There's over 3,600 different franchise companies in 90 different industries. And we have business services, professional services. We have automotive. We have commercial and residential services. That would be where you offer a service to the end consumer, or you offer a business to another business owner. Personal services, as I said, the hair salons, which has really taken a hit the last year. So I always tell people, let's be cautious before we go in that direction right now. Retail products and services. So many, many industries out there, many, many companies that is not food related. I love sharing this slide to help you understand that it's not just French fries. These are some of the businesses that I've helped individuals invest in South Carolina. Most of these over the last couple of years. These are some, though, I like to bring up because they're not food related. And I want to emphasize FlyFo here, the new franchisee in the Spartanburg, Greensboro area who has started working with SCORE, and Jerry referred him over to me, and together we helped him research and investigate about 3 or 4 different franchises, and he decided on FlyFo. One thing when you begin to start a business, we need to understand what you want, what you don't want, what's your skills, what's your interest, and is there any gotta haves? What he really wanted to have, he currently has he had in the past, a cable installation business. He had a fleet of vans. He wanted to utilize those in his new business. He also had many employees. He wanted to be able to utilize them too. So those were gotta haves for him, along with some others. But that's what's important for me to understand about what you're trying to achieve in starting a business. Monster Tree Service, moving companies. Here's a professional IT company. Maid services. I've had 2 clients the last year who invested in maid service. Where has our minds been during this pandemic? Keeping everything sanitized and clean. And here's Lily's favorite franchise, Aussie Petmobile. This gentleman started the business in Charleston 4 years ago and just bought his 6th van, as he started out with 1 4 years ago. I asked him this summer, what's your biggest challenge in the pandemic? He said, my biggest challenge is finding enough open appointments to service all my customers. So just interesting. Now here's one that did take a big hit in the pandemic. This was it's a beauty salon, blow dry bar. And this gentleman's in Charleston. He did have to close down for a while. And I have a gentleman in Columbia who had 3 supercuts, and he did have to close down for a while. They're all open now, but that was a big hit. So here's an essential service. This gentleman started last March, right before we got into the pandemic, and he's doing well. I'll tell you more about him in a minute. What I'd love to tell you is he's a marketing person, and he said, let me get in front of the customer and I can close the sale. So he's doing real well with his painting business. Everyone's at home. In fact, he's coming in next month to repaint some of my house. So essential services are doing well. It's not just franchises. Franchises succeed because of the quality of the product. Okay, come on, let's talk about McDonald's. I know you all can make a hamburger, and I'm sure it's better than the Quarter Pounder. So it's not the product, then what is that makes a business successful? Well, yes, you've got to have a good product, but you've got to have the systems that I keep telling you about from a franchise perspective that is already set up for you. Their marketing, their sales, their operations, their accounting. I had one gentleman tell me when he got back from training, the most important thing he learned was who not to sell to versus who to sell to. The franchisor has already done the research. They have been running this business. They know how to go about and what to say, and they will teach you how to sell and who to sell to. So franchises are expensive. Well, yes, if you look at this right here, over $500,000, but that's only 20% of the 3,600 out there. What I like to emphasize is, here's where most of my clients are buying over the last year, 51 to 100,000. That's about 16% of all the businesses out there. But if you combine that with under 50, that's 27% of all the businesses out there you can get into for under $100,000. So people are more cautious, people are more risk adverse, but they are still moving into and starting their own businesses. And we can find you a business in this category. Before the pandemic, I will say, excuse me, people were investing more money. I would say the average investment was around 150. So this is where most of my clients were investing. This will also, especially starting at the 250 mark, that's when you have a retail store or a brick and mortar. These businesses here under 100, in most cases, excuse me, you will not need a brick and mortar. You will work from your home or an office in an office park, not high rent districts. So that's the way you can keep your costs down and still have a successful business. So how much are you going to need? Depending on what your ceiling is, let's say it's 100,000, Cathey, I can't spend more than 100. You're going to need about 25 to 30% of that in cash. And that's going to be for your franchise fee. Now, if you're going to borrow the money, if 100,000 is your ceiling, you may need to finance 75% of it. That's okay, but the bank is going to require your skin in the game, and that's why I'm saying you need 25 to 30% to put down as a down payment on your business. So just keep that in mind when you're doing your financial calculations. So how do you borrow money? Who do you go to? Well, your personal savings, friends and relatives, and a partner. Be careful with that. And if you are thinking about going in that direction, I'd be happy to send you a checklist. Actually, it was developed by a SCORE counselor, Jerry, a few years ago, on things to consider in a partnership and who is responsible for what. A really easier way is your home equity line of credit. If it's a resale, seller financing. And by the way, we do have resales and franchising. There are people who start the business. Why are they buying it? What is their goals and objectives? Well, a lot of people say, I want to build this business and I want to sell it in 5 years. There are some people that buy and sell businesses continually. That's their investment approach. So if you are interested in a resale from a franchise perspective, we can talk about that too. Here's a little known approach to financing your own business. It's with utilizing your IRA or your 401k that you probably have established through your current or previous employer. The government will allow you, which is not very rarely known, to utilize these funds. What you do is you set up a C corporation and you actually roll this money into your own C corporation, legal entity, and then self-finance your money with the money you've already saved in your 401. Sounds simple, sounds confusing. What I like to do is talk with you in more detail if this is an approach you want to use. So there's no debt you're going into, you're using those existing funds. You have to set it up very carefully, and I do have companies I can refer you to educate you on it and walk you through the process. But it's something to consider.
Cathey, Stanley has a question that's related to financing. He's saying that from a credit point of view, he's got a couple of dings on his credit, and it might limit the financing ability. But he's also a veteran, and was wondering if there's something through the VA or SBA as an option for him, or if you have any insight for him in that particular instance.
Yes, most definitely. I think the first thing to state is most franchisors will give around, I'll say 10% or even $10,000 off the franchise fee for veterans. So they like veterans because a veteran has the skills. They have the delegation skills. They have the process skills. They know how to follow a path, if you will. They're very process oriented. Franchisors really like to have veterans invest in their business. So yes, there's a discount fee on the franchise fee, and the SBA and other organizations that I can put you in touch with, Stanley, will discuss those options for the veteran. And I'm sure Jerry may know of some also. But yes, the SBA, and what I really like is the discount they give you on the franchise fee.
That's great. Yeah, I didn't know about the veteran discount. That's fantastic.
Yes, yes.
Awesome. Yeah.
So experience, skills, let's talk about that. Franchisors want franchisees, as people who invest in their business, to use their systems. That's why they like veterans. They know how to use a process. They want you to focus on being the owner with your business and your management skills. And what's really key is your people and your communication skills. They want you to work on the business, not in it. They don't want you making the flower arrangements. They don't want you being the cook. They don't want you being the mechanic. Through a proven process, the franchisor trains the new franchisee on how to use all the systems that they already have in place. Okay, I want to go back to this slide. I want you to look at the people's previous experience before they purchased their franchise. As I've already said, Ken was a cable installer. He was a subcontractor for AT&T. He had a fleet of vans, and he had employees that he wanted to keep employed and use his vans. He had never been in the mosquito spraying business, but he did have some technical expertise. This gentleman, who I keep talking about, he owned a heavy equipment sales and repair service up in the Iowa area. He moved down to Charleston, retired, got bored, and he came to me and he said, "Cathey, I'm bored. I want to start a business." By the way, Jerry, he was a SCORE counselor. And he says, "I don't want to ever put on a suit and tie. I don't want to ever go to chamber meetings or marketing. I'm living in the South now. I want to wear my shorts and drive my scooter around town." I said, "Okay, I like a challenge." But he bought this because he doesn't have to do any of that. His marketing is basically word of mouth and his 6 vans with this logo on it and social media. What he does every day, he makes sure that the vans are operating well. He does not groom. He has about 7 groomers that he rotates in and out, and he goes and checks on them every day, make sure they have what they need, bringing them clean towels. If there's equipment failure, he'll help them with that. And he talks with the dog owner to make sure I'm happy with Lily's new grooming. This guy, I loved him. He was from New Jersey. We got a lot of people moving into Charleston, where I am. He was a financial consultant. He moved down here and he kind of liked the warm South too. And he bought into Monster Tree Service. He said, "Cathey, I don't want to be in an office anymore. I want to be outside." So he's outside. He has the crew. He's not doing the work. He oversees them, makes sure it's safe. He talks to the homeowners, and he does the quotes. This gentleman was retired, got bored, and started Pure Clean, which is a disaster restoration. This gentleman I mentioned earlier, he was a marketing manager at Ford. And like I said, get him in front of a customer and he closes the sale. A college professor just bought You've Got Maids in the last year. So here's a real interesting. The gentleman who bought Blow and the gentleman who bought the sign manufacturing company were both bankers. So you know that they weren't doing people's hair or making signs in the past. What are they doing now? They're out networking, they're running their businesses. And this gentleman, he's a semi-absentee owner. He doesn't have to be there every day. He has a strong manager and he runs the business from the outside. So look at your transferable skills versus your experience in a specific industry. So what are your transferable skills? Sales and marketing, operations, back office, customer service, HR, financial. Those may be positions that you've held in your current or past position, but what's made you successful in those? Your communication skills, your care for your customer, your operations, your back office. What have you done to be successful? Have you managed people? That's usually pretty key also in starting a business. So look at skills that you've developed that we can transfer over to running your own business. And if there's additional areas, you will hire them. So how do you find your perfect business? Well, we have a proven process. We've been around now for 35, 36 years. We have developed a specific online assessment, which I'll give you the link to here in a little bit. We used to have face-to-face meetings, and I was talking to Jerry. We are beginning to have a few of those now if our clients are comfortable with that. But if not, we'll do a Zoom call, unless you're Zoomed out, and then we'll just do a call. But I want you to do the assessment, and then I want us to discuss it in great detail. We're going to build your perfect business model, and I will present you with companies that match your model and help you get started on your research. During the process, you're going to be talking to the franchisors and learning everything you can about that business. You're going to be talking with existing owners. Don't be afraid to ask them any question that you need to know. I'll suggest other professionals for you to consult with, finance, legal, and as I said, there is no charge for my services. Here's the assessment link. It's frannet.com/my-name, C. Petkash, and then /CQ for confidential questionnaire. That's going to help you gather your thoughts. It's going to identify, why am I doing this? What are my skills that I can transfer into my business? What are my values and my interest? Now, values, I find, play a very key part. Some of my clients' religious backgrounds and feelings and values will keep them from doing some businesses. So, that's fine. Help me understand you so I can help you and match you to the perfect business. We want to identify your financial goals, your professional goals, and your personal goals. I really emphasize the personal because this is a new step for you. Let's go in the direction that you will enjoy and that you will be successful. Then after you've done that, we're going to meet to discuss the results and build your perfect business model. This is your business model. This wouldn't be perfect for me or for Jerry, but it will be yours. So what do I mean by a business model? Like the lady who came to me once and said, Cathey, I want to start a business. I don't know how to go about it. And I said, well, do you have any ideas or thoughts? And she said, yeah, I know what I want. I just don't know how to do it. And I said, what are you interested in? She was interested in Cold Stone Creamery. Okay, so I had a little red flag start going up in my mind. And I said, could you please tell me what about that business model that you really like, that you want to invest in it? And she said, I know what you're thinking. She loves ice cream, right? No, her husband loved ice cream. Man, I was going to refer her to a divorce attorney or a counselor or something. You may have a passion, as I said earlier, but is that the reason to start the business? The red flags were, if you open an ice cream parlor of some sort, who are your employees? Usually they're teenagers. Do you want to manage teenagers? You might. I don't. But if you tell me, Cathey, I love mentoring young adults. Okay, there's a green check mark for that one. What is your business environment? Full or part-time hours? in in an ice cream parlor, you're going to be open 7 days a week. You're going to have long hours, 8 o'clock in the morning till midnight. And you may not be there the whole time. You're going to have managers, but you're responsible for that business. So who do you want your customers to be? Are you comfortable in an essential service like the home repair or the painting or the mosquito spraying? Are you comfortable going in and facing the end consumer? Or would you prefer to work with other professionals in another business? So do you want a business service to another business or a personal service to the end consumer? I had a lady who loved Aussie Petmobile. I'm not really pushing Aussie today. It's just I've got some good stories about the Petmobile. She loved that business. She was really interested, and she kept finding things that didn't match her objectives. And finally, I said, so now tell me what we need to change. She says, we don't need to change anything. And she said, Cathey, this is the perfect business for me. But when it comes down to it, I just don't have the guts to do it. Fine. She didn't do it. And that was the right decision for her. I will be one of the first people to tell you you're not ready for this. So that's okay. Another thing we want to talk about, do you want to sell a service? Do you want to sell mosquito services, home repair services? Or do you want to sell a physical, tangible product? Again, it's what you're comfortable with and how you present to customers. Do you want to retail? Do you want a storefront? Or are you comfortable working for home? What is that environment? Some people feel like they have to get up, get out, all dressed up before they can actually be productive. So how do you best function as an employee in the past and as a business owner in the future? So when I talk about your perfect business model, is how you're going to run that business versus just the ice cream. As I said, we've been doing this at FranNet for 35 years, and we've gotten a pretty good process. We're actually a franchise, so we have a process to follow, and we're pretty good at it. Over the years that we've worked with people, we've tracked them. And over the first 2 years, 91% of them have been successful, compared to 64% of individuals who've gone their own way. After 5 years, we find that 85% of our businesses are still being run, the franchises, and they are still being successful, compared to 50% of other small businesses that perhaps have started it from scratch. And what we're really proud of is that we also find that our franchisees that we help, that they become top performers in the franchise business. The gentleman who has the Aussie Petmobile, you can bet he's one of the top performers in the United States. So we have a very thorough process. We work with you and we help identify and match you to right businesses for you to research.
Cathey, those are remarkable statistics that you just showed. That's really says a lot about the process to have that level of success. We've seen from other small businesses that getting up there 91, 85%. Those are incredible numbers.
Thank you. Yeah, we're proud of them. And it takes about, just for your information too, to maybe help emphasize the process that we use, it takes 3 to 4 months for someone to go through our process to really research and understand and look at different businesses. You're not going to look at just one. I had a lady call me actually from Columbia last week, and she says, I pretty much decided on a business, but I'm getting nervous. And I said, okay. So she shared with me what she was looking at. And I said, well, how many businesses have you compared it to? And she said, well, no, I only looked at that one. Well, she's excited about it. That's great. But what I like to point out is if you're buying a car, how many do you test drive? If you're buying a house, how many do you go and look at? This is a huge personal, professional, and financial decision you're making. You need to compare businesses. So other advisors that will help you find are obviously SCORE to help you with that business plan and just to help you get started. They help existing business owners and new potential business owners. You're going to need a franchise attorney to go over that FDD with you, not a real estate attorney, not a Divorce attorney, but a franchise attorney. I cannot emphasize that the most. An accountant and a financial advisor. Some books you may want to read. I like this one down here, Street Smart Franchising. It really gives the pros and the cons and all the good, the bad, the ugly about franchising. The E-Myth Revisited, one by Michael Gerber, has been around forever. If you're thinking about starting any business, read this. And then, of course, More Than Just French Fries. And our own CEO helped co-author this book. So we're real proud of that, along with SCORE. So you want your independence? We feel that you can obtain that independence through franchising. You're in business for yourself. This is your business. This is your legal entity. You will pay taxes on your business, but you're not by yourself. You have the franchisor that are supporting you. You have the family of other franchisees. So you're not in business alone, but it is your baby. Then we're going to have a commercial break for FLIFO. I told Ken that I was going to promote his business, so he gave me his phone number, his website. He is covering the Greenville, Spartanburg area, so if some of you are from there, please give him a holler. And if you're not from there and some other part of the state, give me a holler and I'll refer you to mosquito spraying in those areas too. So Jerry, I want to
appreciate you mentioning Ken there, and yeah, what a great success story. So yeah, it's really nice to see that come from yeah, where he started off to going through the process with you, looking at multiple alternatives, just as you mentioned just a minute ago, and then yeah, sort of working through and coming to this agreement. So good for Ken, and that's fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. So, and again, thank you, Jerry. I really appreciate the partnership that we have. I'm very excited to help your clients, to assist your clients. I just love what I do. I get carried away sometimes. First of all, I'm a business person from way back, but when I left the corporate world and discovered small business, I was like, wow, there's people out there doing this and being successful and making money. So I became a real lover of small business. And to help someone in this decision is very professionally fulfilling to me and very personally fulfilling too. I feel good when I drive down the street and I say, oh yeah, I know the people that started that. So if I can help you, if you just want to talk about it, if you need more information, please don't hesitate to call me. Here's my phone number, here's my email and our website. And again, here is the confidential questionnaire that you could fill out. If you just want to take that, just for your own information, I'll send you the results and you may not be ready to go forward, but I think it'll be a great tool in helping you organize your thoughts. So that's all I have, Jerry. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Cathey. It looks like we got through all of the questions, and yeah, I wanted to thank you again for taking the time to educate everybody today on the franchising process. The service that you're providing, it's just remarkable. I love the free assessment. I really encourage everybody to take a look at that and just see, is this the right option for you? It's worth exploring. I like what Cathey also said in terms of comparing that to buying a car or buying a home and evaluating different options. So if you have something specific in mind, there might be an opportunity to go out there and just to see what else is out there, and know that what you're choosing is indeed right for you, and learn something through the process. So yeah, thanks so much, Cathey. Really appreciate your time, and hope everybody enjoyed today's presentation. I know I learned a little bit today from going through this again, and yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Have a great day.